In this talk, Ro will challenge you to adopt principles that will enable you to find your purpose and allow you to take back ownership of your own career. Welcome, Ro.
That's right. Can we all hear me? All right, perfect. Hey, everybody. Yeah, my name is Ro. I'm a designer, I'm a founder, I'm a product manager. I've been a mechanical engineer. I've been pretty much everything under the sun. But yeah, excited to come and chat with you all today. I know I'm the last in a very long line of amazing speakers, so just wanted to get a little bit of a pulse, see how everybody's doing. We got a little bit of a break too, so how are we doing? Are we yay kind of in the way right here? Maybe not so much. Lots of yays. Okay, cool. I'm gonna pick on the audience a little bit just because I like to do that. I don't like to be the only one talking. So I've got some yays over here. What's some big takeaways that you have from today? 5G. All right. What? Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. That's awesome. Cool. Any others? Maybe from this side of the room? Any other big takeaways?
I like one of just being open about your design process.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, this was part of it, or this wasn't meant to be, but this happened, and this was great because.
Yeah. That's awesome. So a lot of takeaways, a lot happening in the entire week. I guess how many of y'all have been there for maybe some of the other sessions, some of the workshops, or is this your first time jumping into sessions and workshops? How about that? Any big takeaways from those? Oh, sorry, you too. It's on the spot.
Yes, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Any big takeaways from like some of the other workshops and things too?
I'm just happy to meet everybody and um, just making some new connections
Yeah,
has been the best thing that's happened. So.
that's great. That's awesome. How about
Oh,
Mission?
I think so many takeaways. It's hard to pick one, but I'll say one thing that really kind of stood out was the like comic book. There was a workshop about kind of how to tell your business story in
Mm-hmm.
like this kind of comic book style fashion, and it was a data analytics company where they. Were trying to figure out a simpler way to get across what they do and the value proposition, so
Yeah,
they can just hand that to folks and they would understand um, you know everything that they offered in just a short period of time.
that's awesome. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of takeaways, right? We're constantly, and thank you for that as well. We're constantly getting in new information. We're constantly learning new information. Um, the big question that I have for each of you as you've gone through this week, you've gone through a lot of these sessions, how are you going to apply that in your life, right? A lot of times we consume and we consume, and we're in this almost generation of constant consumption, but we don't really take a breath to really understand how are we actually going to adopt this into our work, adopt this into our lives, adopt this into our practices. So I think like one big takeaway, especially as I go into this talk, again, I think I chatted with Poppy a little bit about this too. My goal is that you're either very against everything that I'm saying, or you're, basically asking me how you can apply this into your life, right? So I don't want a middle of the ground road over here too. So and that's why I have this, headline around own or be owned. The the big statement that I'm going to make over here today is that each and every single one of you is a high potential today, right? I don't know if you heard that before. I don't know if somebody's actually come over to you and told you that before, but it's true. Each and every single one of you sitting in this room and those online as well is a high potential, right? And it's because you've taken steps to be here. You've taken steps to want to improve yourself. You're taking steps to want to grow yourself, right? Um, but a lot of times for some of us, that's where it stops, right? It stops with potential. We consume and we just let it go, or we learn some new thing and we just don't really act on it, don't really adopt it. And if we look at our careers and we look at the work that we've done in our careers too, and the way that our careers have and the trajectory has moved, a lot of times we would probably say that that's true of our lives too, is that there's so many potential moments, potential opportunities that we've kind of just let go and didn't really maximize on. And one of the things that I really had a huge passion about over the past almost 6 years is to really help professionals like myself, like others around here to maximize your talents. Each and every single one of you has amazing talents that you're utilizing in various industries. You know, over Lilly, kind of doing your own practice, working with nonprofits, and a lot of you in other areas too. So, how are you really going to rise above and take ownership of your career and take ownership of your own personal growth? And so the way that I always think about it is it all starts with a big idea. It starts with one idea that you truly feel can make an impact on people around you. Maybe it's your community, maybe it's your friends, maybe it's your coworkers, maybe it's your family, maybe it's the world at large. But what's one big idea that you truly feel convinced at some point of time in your life that you had? And I'm going to kind of maybe take a little bit of a breather for a moment. We've listened to a lot, we've heard a lot, we've had some conversations. Maybe like a small moment of reflection. Just kind of think back. If you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. But just kind of think back to what is one big idea, one dream even that you feel like you had way back when. It could have been in high school, it could have been in college, it could have been last week. But what's one big idea that you truly feel could actually have an impact and make a moment? I'm going to give us a little bit of a minute. So now as you think about that, right, how long ago did you have that idea? How many times have you actually gone back to that idea? How many people have you shared that idea with? How have you molded and grown and pivoted and iterated on that idea and hopefully started to get feedback, right? Have you talked to anybody about it? Have you talked to mentors about it? Have you talked to your family about it? Have you talked to your boss about it? It could have been an idea that you have within your own company. Have you had conversations with other people? Have you tried to get people who are involved in that space, who are subject matter experts maybe, to give you some more feedback and think through it? A lot of times we have these larger ideas that, again, at a moment start to just drift away and we get thrown back into the rat race of the world, right? And I think it's important for us to have these moments of calm, have these moments of self-reflection, self-discovery, understanding who it is that you are, what are your values, what are your principles, and then on the larger vision scheme of things, what's your impact, what's your purpose, right? The big piece that I always come back to has been about purpose. And so about 6 years ago, I had an idea when I was working at a university right down the road. And I was talking with students, and I had talked to well over 200 to 300 students about their experiences and what they were looking forward to in life and their hopes and dreams of what they wanted to accomplish. And they had the most massive goals and the most massive ambitions and life-changing things, right? And so fast forward to a couple of years when they were graduated, I actually had conversations with them again. I had some conversations with other alumni around some of the big ideas and big goals they wanted to change the world, right? And a lot of the conversations ended up with, well, I didn't really do anything about it, or the opportunity never really came, or I don't know if that's really for me, right? And so I kept on running into these conversations where they were just falling backwards into their careers, falling backwards into the life that others were planning for them, rather than taking ownership and taking charge of their own careers, taking charge of their own destiny in a certain way. And so as I was talking to a lot of them, many of them just found the expectations that were set at the university level, and this is maybe not true for all universities, but a lot of expectations set at the university level looks very different once you actually jump into the real world get thrown off that cliff. When you think back to, that transition for yourself as well, what did that look like? Who is there alongside you to actually guide you through that process? What understanding did they have of the world that you were jumping into and the actual realities of being in the workplace, being in a career, having these larger types of discussions and how you could actually take ownership and plan for your career. Nobody really talks about or thinks about planning for their lives and planning for their careers. It usually happens right around December. Go into January, high hopes and ambitions. And I think the latest stats is that 80% of people have started on their New Year's resolution give it up by Feb. So as you think about planning, if you think about purpose, right, a lot of times people are more focused on passions. They might say, I want to, I really want to get a fancy car. I really want to climb the corporate ladder. I really want to travel. I want to make a lot of money. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And the way I look at it is when you think about the rewards that come from passions, they all focus inward. I had to find a way to put myself on a slide too. So it's all about, for me, it was travel. I just wanted to travel. I just want to have these experiences, and that's it. That's going to make me happy. That's going to make me fulfilled, and that's going to be everything that I need in life. And I still felt very unfulfilled because it was all the reward that I was focusing inwards. Right, the rewards were coming to me. Or I've taken a different approach on it. As I've had these conversations with people, I've had conversations with different mentors, with people who have gone through different experiences in their lives. The value of fulfillment truly comes by serving up the other, right? The value of making an impact that lasts longer than you will on this planet really is what starts to build up a lot of that fulfillment and honestly that looks like purpose. And purpose is action filled. It takes some of your passions, it takes some of your skills, it takes an opportunity, but you need to actually take action towards it. Otherwise, it's going to really just remain an idea. Right? And so through the years, again, I've talked to so many alumni, so many young professionals. Probably talked to over 800 about just their careers and their lives, and these are across the board. So all the way from college age to folks who are maybe 30 years into their career, and the story is basically the same. I feel unfulfilled. I feel like I've been trying to chase every single small penny or dollar increase. I feel like I've been trying to, seek after the wrong things that aren't really growing me, but are just creating a salve for my immediate need at the moment. Um, Not saying this is a bad thing, but ping pong tables and kegs in the break room are usually the kind of salve that companies are trying to instill rather than truly helping people discover and empower them, and in some cases understand their course and their journey is limited within the span of that company, and they want to prepare them for the next thing, for the next job, for the next opportunity, so that when that opportunity comes, preparation has already been in place. So again, the way I think about purpose versus passion, I go back to this quote of Albert Einstein. So a life directed chiefly towards the fulfillment of personal desires will sooner or later always lead to bitter disappointment. It's a bold statement, right? And a lot of times, you see people who you believe have made it. You see people who are in a position that you envy, or maybe in a position that you want to be at. You see people who maybe have pursued their passions and have accomplished something big and are famous because of it. But if you really truly dig deeper into their lives, if there is nothing given back, if there's nothing really given back to the other in service of the other, they're left with empty lives in a lot of cases. And this is the exact same thing in our careers, because as we've seen what's happened in the past 2 years, there's no such thing as work-life balance anymore. It's more work and life are one, right? Our home life, our friend life, our personal lives, our travel life, our work life, all of that has become one entity at this moment. And so the decisions that we make in terms of giving back, not only within our personal means, also affect the decisions that we make in giving back within our career or our professional life. Who have you impacted? Who are the people that you feed into on a daily basis? Who are the people who you try and grow and build themselves up, and thereby learning yourselves, right, from those types of experiences? And so, as I mentioned, we've done a lot of research over at Coda around how this has truly affected the market, what's happened in the past 2 years, what's happened in the past 5 years, and this trend has been repeating on and on and on, but the game has truly changed. About 90% of millennials at this point would truly take a lower paycheck, take less cash in order to find something that's more purpose-driven or workplace purpose. And companies are trying to figure out what is that purpose, right? They're trying to find a one-stop shop that fits all, but again, everybody's unique. We're all individuals, have different desires, different purposes, different callings, different skill sets, right? And so how do you build something that is broad enough to be utilized across the board, but still individualistic and purpose-driven, personalized to an individual's purpose too? 47% of them really wish that they were on a different career path. I've talked to many people, myself included, who started out in one career or moved into a second career, moved into a third career, but just were trying to jump ship for, again, either dollars or maybe a easier, remote work life or whatever it might be, right? And they really weren't trying to focus on the skills and the calling that each of them had. They didn't take the time to maybe stop and reflect and spend some time in self-discovery, understanding what their values, what their principle, what their mission was, right? And if you think about how companies behave or how companies get set up, they spend months and months on building out a mission statement, on building out their values, on building out their vision or their plan for the next 5 years. We need to start doing that as individuals as well and understand how do we fit into the purpose of a company rather than just going after a big name or going after something that fits within our world too. And then only 29% of individuals are actually happy with the career advancement opportunities that they have. And that basically means that we are going to see what's happened over the past 2 years happen again and again and again because people are looking for development, people looking for growth, people looking for opportunities that can advance and grow and build themselves up. But at the same time, they are underprepared. They aren't ready for when those opportunities actually come up. And so, especially with the way that we are trying to build value into individuals at Coda, our focus is both on discovering your purpose, building your plan, but also understanding how do you interact with the market? How are you investing back into yourselves to help you grow? Another very bold statement by my good old friend Albert Einstein: only a life lived in service to others is worth living. Now, some of you may not agree with this, and that's perfectly fine. But I'd like to dive a little bit deeper into maybe even the meaning of this, the meaning of work, right? As we think about the what's happened over the past 3 years with the pandemic, with everything that's happened between different communities, we've all experienced life very differently. And the pandemic has affected different people in different ways based on their preparedness for it, right? The way that we need to start thinking about our worth, the way that we need to start thinking about the value is really in terms of our legacy, right? Everything that we're building up right now is focused on our skills. Everything that we're building up right now is focused on our experiences, our relationships with other people. But when we talk about worth, at the end of this all, right, we look back, we're not really focused on, okay, I made about $2 million and that's my net worth, that's my worth in life. I don't know many people who have actually been saying that, right? It's really focused on who have I impacted, right? at the end of it, when I'm standing up and looking at my vision or plan for my life, and actually drew out a picture of what this looked like, it was people. It was people that I had been able to impact, people who, because of my impact, were impacting and enabling others, right? And again, this is not through my knowledge and my thought process, but it's by talking with people who have been there, people who have gone through this road, and in some cases have a lot of disappointment with the decisions that they made. Because again, when you think about that final moment, it really comes back to who are the people surrounding me, who are the people who I've positively impacted, and that's really what I think Einstein's talking about over here. And so a lot of us, again, I'm sure this might speak to some of us in the room over here, some of us online too. When you're in high school, you have all these ambitions, right? It's your plan. You're going to conquer the world. You know exactly what you're going to do to a certain degree, but you have these dreams. You have these dreams and these ambitions, and it's all about those dreams and ambitions, and you feel like you know what your calling is. Then you go into college and you get beaten down a little bit, and it starts to become a little bit less of your plan, a little bit less of your journey, a little bit less of you taking ownership of what it is that you're going to do, because now you have to go by certain norms of society. Then you get into an internship, and you're trying to juggle 6 different cups of coffee with bagels and everything else too, and you're working for another's mission, another's plan. Your purpose in that company is just to get a particular job done, right? And so how much do you actually invest into fulfilling your journey, fulfilling your plan, understanding if that company is actually going to meet you in terms of growing and developing you? And then we go from job 1 to job 2 to job 3, and a lot of times we fall backwards into somebody else's plan. Our purpose, our journey, our calling, everything of that has washed away, and we're like, we're going to be an amazing designer who's created 3,000 beautiful UI screens or amazing products that are out there in the marketplace, but what's the impact that you're having, and how does that align to your goals, your plan, your calling, your purpose, right? You could do some amazing things for other people, but that can still leave you unfulfilled if your values and your purpose and your principles don't actually match the work that you're doing. So over at Coda, we've developed an ideology or framework for what we call career truth. And this is understanding that your work life and your personal life are one and the same. The first piece around this is mastery. It's around skills and experiences that you're building, and how are you actually investing in yourself? How are you actually building yourself up? Are you taking on the right skills? Are you learning the right information? Are you applying that information to make sure that you got it right? Are you actually acting on the things that you learned, or are you just scrolling? Or just doing the next LinkedIn Learning video that you can get your hands on, right? The second piece is really about freedom, right? We all have trade-offs, and these trade-offs live either with the decisions that we want to make, where it's based on money, maybe it's based on benefits, maybe it's based on your relationships, maybe it's based on your time that you want for yourself, maybe it's based on travel, maybe it's based on your mental health, maybe it's based on your physical health. What are the trade-offs that you're making, and how do those actually affect your future goals that you're going down the line with? As we think about, say for example, you want to be an amazing corporate engine, and you want to make $1 trillion, say if that's the goal, right? You're going to be trading off a lot of things. You're going to be trading off your time. You're going to be trading off your mental health. You're going to be trading off your physical health. You're going to be trading off your relationships. And if that's okay with you, and that's the goal that you want to hit, and that's what you feel will actually truly make you fulfilled, you just need to understand these trade-offs. You need to understand these decisions. How many times do you actually go into a job interview or go into a conversation with your company, maybe even, and think about that? What are the trade-offs that I'm making in order to get a bigger salary? What are the trade-offs that I'm making to spend more time with my family? And are you okay with that, right? And finally, again, it comes back to impact. What's the impact? How are you serving the other, right? What's your legacy that you're actually leaving? And as you make decisions, how are the decisions that you are making today preparing you to leave the legacy that you want to leave? Right? And again, that could be personal, it could be for your family, it could be for your friends, it could be for your neighborhood, for your community, it could be for your work, right? But what's the kind of legacy that you truly want to leave? And as we think about, again, this holistic perspective where work and life meet together, right? I think we need to start being more disciplined and plan for each and every single decision so that we are truly owning our careers. We are truly owning our decisions in life, not somebody else. And so the way that I thought about this, again, I didn't have a plan for quite a while. I just had some ideas or goals of what I wanted to achieve. And come February, I was one of that 80%, where it was gone because it made, the next month had this new set of goals, or new things that I need to tackle for my company or my life or my family or whatever it might be. And so about 6 years ago, I had a 5-year plan. We added on an extra year. But I had a 5-year plan for what I wanted to do in the world. And it was based on a lot of those conversations around helping individuals, helping young professionals, helping college students, and others across the globe take true ownership back of their career development and their lives too. And so there are a lot of things that I didn't know. I didn't know how to start a company. I didn't know how to start a tech company. I didn't know how to build technology. I didn't know how to scale or grow technology. I didn't know how to build or network with VCs and CEOs and hire people. And so I had a plan. I started out with a company called Xylo. I was employee number 6 or 7 as a founding designer, and got to learn from the ropes from some really amazing leaders. I used to have meetings every other week with Eric Tobias and Scott Dorsey as they were investing into our growth as a company. But at the same time, I was learning from legends, right? And of course, I took a massive pay cut to be able to go there. I actually had to, the way that I got in was I worked at Indiana Wesleyan University all the way in Marion. I left every Thursday to drive an hour and a half over to Broad Ripple so I could I could ref the kickball league. And that's how I got into meeting with some of the high alpha designers, and that was my inroad. And so going from there, after Xylo, I knew what it took to actually build and develop a company. I now need to know how to scale it. And so I joined a company called Active Campaign. We were about 600 employees. I joined the CRM team. It was myself and 4 other individuals. So we had 1 person on product, 1 person on engineering, and 2 engineers. And our CRM was nothing. It was nothing to be talked about. We were just building today. But I got the opportunity to make a massive impact with building multiple products, not only just our CRM, build out a B2B line vertical that we didn't have before, work with our product and development teams to scale and grow our CRM team to a team of 30. We actually we had doubled the number of customers that we had during that time period too. And so I got to learn from this engine of hyper growth. And again, I was making good money. I was in a really good place. And come June, my at that time, 6 years timeline was up. And I had, during that entire time, been talking to people, talking to VCs, talking to potential partners, talking to coaches, talking to career coaches and people in HR to really understand what it is that we needed to build for Coda. And so come June, I had to make the decision that, okay, this is my time. There's an opportunity in the marketplace that people are desperately looking for something to truly help them in this holistic life and career growth perspective. The opportunity is there. I've been preparing this entire time. I've been building up skills. I've been building relationships. I've been bringing the right people alongside. And that's really where my opportunity met my purpose. And I jumped headfirst into Coda. And so that's what we're building right now. We're building a way for individuals like yourselves to actually meet with and grow themselves and meet with career coaches that are usually either way too expensive or unattainable, and we're actually also providing value from a coaching perspective too. And so as you think about the people who are feeding into you, right? I had a lot of people when I started out this journey kind of tell me, well, you're just a designer. Designers aren't CEOs. Designers don't go about founding design-led companies. And, haters going to hate. You're going to have to kind of build some level of discernment. There are going to be people who tell you this goal is just not possible, right? Or maybe, you're not there yet. Maybe way down the line, this is something you need to be thinking about. Now you just need to be doing the work. Right? And I'd say, again, you need to tune out some of that noise and focus inwardly, right? Reflect, talk to people about your idea. You need to have something to talk to people with. And that's really where you have your idea. You have your big idea and you start to have those conversations, right? And you start to look for wise counsel. A lot of people don't want to give you counsel. Make sure they're the right people. Make sure they're the people that can actually put you on that path to success and growth and speak into you. Make sure that they are actually invested in your career growth, right? In some cases, that means you have to pay them. Like how many people, show of hands over here, how many of y'all have career coaches or have gone through career coaching in terms of building yourselves up? Some? Yeah. That's an investment that you're making into yourself, right? And there's individuals that will mentor you. There are individuals that will focus on a particular area, right, of your growth. Surround yourself with those types of people. Surround yourself with peers who you're running this race together with, and make sure they're the right ones, right? Not the ones just chilling watching Netflix at home all day long. Make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who you're looking up to and people who you want to be at that level and want to be able to achieve and do the kind of things that they are doing because of the impact that they're having. And so as we think about everything that I talked about today, right? Again, it comes back to, these are all just words. These are, might have been an okay talk, great talk, not so great talk. How are you actually going to put this into practice? How are you actually going to adopt this into your life, and how are you actually going to build yourself up, right? And so again, it starts with having your big idea, making sure you tell people about it, making sure you have conversations around it, making sure that's the first thing that you see as you are jumping into your day, right? Centering yourself around what it is that you're going to be doing, what it is that you're actually going to be contributing back into the world, and the impact that's going to have. Then look inward. Get a better understanding of your current state, your current inventory, as it will, from a personal side, from a professional side. Have you ever written out or gone through everything that you've done in your career? Have you ever gone through everything that you've, how much have you made? Every single kudos or conversation that was impactful for you? How many times do you actually deep dive into experiences that you've had in order to make better decisions moving forward? Because if we don't really learn from the experiences that we've had, in my case, I usually don't remember things longer than 2 hours ago, right? If I don't write it down, I'm not going to make wise decisions moving forward. And so again, reflect inward, try and make sure that you are understanding who you are as a person, understanding your principles, understanding your values, build a mission for yourself that you can actually ascribe to, and understand how you work. How do you work well with others? Thirdly is invest in yourself, right? Grow the skills that are important. They're actually going to help you move towards your goals. There are a lot of places that you can go to for developing skills, developing experiences, learning new things. Make sure they're the right ones, because again, your time is short and you only have a certain amount of focus areas that you can grow yourself into. Make sure they're the right ones. You don't need to be solving every single problem. You really just need to be solving the one that you're focused on. Next, really understand what your freedoms are, right? And understand what you value higher than others, so that when you have the conversations, even though somebody's going to throw an extra $50,000 at you, maybe it's a situation that you need, but understand the trade-offs that you're going to be making with that. Understand what you're giving up in order to be able to make those decisions. And again, not everybody is in a situation where they can turn something like that down. but at the same time understand what is that actually going to give you, what's that going to actually provide for you in order to move to the next step. So then you actually think about your legacy, making sure that you are leaving, at the end of this, you're leaving the right kind of impact, or at least have an impact, right? There's a lot of people that really go through their lives and they find regret because there wasn't a blip on they weren't a blip on the radar, right? They were just going through the motions, they were going through whatever they needed to do, and looking back, they didn't have the kind of impact they wanted to have, right? And so making sure that as you're thinking about the now, are you making the right decisions and setting the right goals in order to be impactful at the end? And then finally, look for mentorship. Look for people to feed into you. Look for people to actually grow you and build you up. And make sure they're the right people. Make sure you're surrounding yourselves with the right people. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who are actually going to grow you and instill this sense of desire and this hunger to actually grow as well, not the people who are really just truly going to hold you back. So finally, I'd like to, if this is something that you're looking to grow, if this is something you're looking to build and instill in yourselves, we'd love to help. Definitely reach out to me, reach out to us at Coda, where we're actually building a tool that's going to be set out into the marketplace that's actually going to be able to help individuals like yourself set these goals, connect with individuals around them, build your brand, build your mission statement, actually help you set goals and hold you accountable to what you're setting for yourself, not only just on a career standpoint, but also on a personal standpoint. And as we've been having conversations, even within companies too, we've talked to multiple CEOs who, when we showed them what we're actually putting out on the market, what we're actually going to be doing for their employees, they balk over at it. And they're a CEO. Every single CEO they talk to said that they would love for somebody to come into their office and tell them, "This is my plan. This is my purpose. This is what I'm going to be doing, and this is the kind of impact I'm going to have. How do you, CEO or company, work within my plan?" And if they don't, maybe it's not the right step. And they want to have people having those conversations. They don't want to be reaching out, constantly trying to find ways to engage and connect and develop their people. They want people to come to them with a plan. And so you imagine the impact, imagine the tools that you can have in your own careers, in your own companies, in the individuals that you're interacting with, and the clients that you're interacting with too. So if there's anything that we can help, we'd love to. And the final thing is decide today, like start today. There's always a reason not to. There's always another excuse. There's always another goal. There's always another mission. But start today and actually give it some thought as to how you're actually going to grow and develop these. So, thank you. And if we want to open up to any questions, happy to. But okay, cool. Yeah. Questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
One of the things you said, you always say that we have to find the right people, the right kind of thing. How do we find those things?
That's great. So I'd say start with your network, right? Start with cold calling, cold emailing people that you actually admire, people that you respect, people that you really want to surround yourself with. Look in your circles. Everybody, for the most part, has circles, right? And actually start. Again, you need this big idea. You need something as a hook, to actually get their attention. I think when I started this out, I cold email about 2,000 people, LinkedIn messages, emails, whatever I could do, and just shared this idea and said, I would love to have a conversation around this. People are not going to respond to, hey, I just want to talk to you. They got a lot of people to talk to, and they got a lot of conversations to have. So start to reach out, and again, try to find people who are in your lane, in your purpose, and to actually know that about yourself as you start looking. Right? And again, if we can do anything to help, we're happy to. Yeah. Any others? Yeah.
So I was just wondering
Yeah. So coda actually comes from the Native American alliteration of guide or friend. And so the way that I thought of what we want it to be, right? We're not an authority over your life. We're not going to tell you that, here's the things that you got to do, and here's what you got to, just go ahead and do them, right? Our goal is to work with you. Our goal is to empower you rather than just giving you a list and saying, move down this path. And so a true guide knows when to step in and step out of each situation, and that's really what we want to be for people. So that's kind of how we got it. Yeah. Perfect.
So 2023 Coda app comes out.
Fingers crossed.
What's the 20-year impact? How do you see it changing culture?
Absolutely, yeah, that's a great question. So we're gonna bring it out in the U.S. market, and we're agnostic of industry, right? So our focus right now is within these young professionals that are starting out and not really understanding or unsure who to turn to or what the path is. Again, you have so many different sources of media that are constantly giving you one answer or the next. And so what we really want to do is empower individuals to take ownership of their careers and truly lead fulfilling lives. And at the end of it, all of our KPIs lead to individuals taking control of their own careers and leading fulfilling lives. And so when I think about the 20-year impact, when I think about how this is actually going to change society or change the world, those two things are addressed and solved for. That's our goal. That's our mission. You're done. Yeah.
Just in the room.
Oh, yeah, go for it. Sorry.
Just curious if you've given any thought to maybe what I might consider like historically maybe under-networked populations. I used to volunteer a lot in like Near East side Indy with youth and trying to like provide some encouragement about their options when it came to education or connections and anywho, there's always a bit of a tug back and forth with that works just because there it seems so foreign and it seems so new. So just curious, any thoughts on have there been any thoughts on how you might reach some of those I would say underdeveloped populations?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. When I think about under-networked or lack of opportunities presented, right? I think globally as well. So I'm originally from India. I grew up in Dubai. I lived in Yemen. There's a few different things before I finally landed up over here in the U.S. I think there's two things that are needed. One is a desire to grow and better yourself, and the opportunity, right? And so where there is desire, we've had a lot of conversations with, uh, government opportunities or working with, with school systems and school districts as well to provide seminars and teaching and courses that start to work this idea within those mindsets. We're actually going to have, exercises and opportunities and events for, students of all communities, but definitely underrepresented and under opportunity, lack of opportunity areas too, and across the globe too. When I think about my time in Yemen, the there were women usually, especially because Yemen, I think it's like the 10th poorest country in the world, and so women over there really weren't given education past the third grade or so, and so what my parents and others did was actually work with them to teach them business and English and other skills that actually built them up, and they actually led their communities after they were doing that. So again, I think that there's massive impact, probably more impact that those individuals can have, but there needs to be desire and there needs to be opportunity given at that point too. Yeah. Yeah. Any others? Good. Well, thank you, everybody.
Cool, thank you.